Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.
I'm Roby Brock with your Talk Business Arkansas update as we run through the top business and political headlines of the day. Also, we'll sit down with newsmakers. Let's check out our top business stories for today. Walmart employees in Fort Smith and Denver are participating in a pilot program that could significantly change the way work schedules are managed for the more than 1.3 million employees in the company's more than 4,000 U.S. stores. Bentonville-based Walmart has been criticized by employees and labor groups for work schedules that are inconsistent and unreliable, like changing schedules with little notice. Such schedules, for example, make it difficult for part-time Walmart employees to work a second job. The new scheduling program allows hourly store employees the opportunity to pick up extra shifts in an easier manner. PAM Transportation reported a first quarter net loss of $456,000 compared to a $674,000 profit in last year's comparable first quarter. Revenues topped $99.9 million for the Taneytown-based trucking company. PAM President Daniel Cushman said the company was focused on driver retention and improving payoffs from fuel efficiency efforts in order to reduce expenses. After this word from our sponsors, we'll take a look at the top political headlines of the day. Then I'll sit down with Greg Letting, state representative from Fayetteville. He's the House Minority Leader. What did he think of this most recent legislative session? I'm Roby Brock. This is Talk Business. We're back after the break.
I don't think it's going to be an easy conversation because they are very strong-willed. I think it's going to be important to us that we know that you're somewhere in a facility that looks after you, has compassion, has care, and you respect it. I mean, I'd love to look after them, I'd love to be able to take care of them, but I don't think I could. That'd be a wrong choice on my part.
Arkansas's skilled nursing and assisted living centers provide quality care for our seniors.
Farm Bureau helps protect its members in more ways than you might think. They've always been the voice of agriculture in Arkansas, working on behalf of folks like me when nobody else would. And Farm Bureau stands for the values that Arkansas families care about. They've protected my right to farm and make a living, which helps everybody who likes food on the table. You know what they say, Arkansas counts on agriculture, and agriculture counts on Farm Bureau.
The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
Here's what's making the top political headlines for today.
The IRS has revoked the tax-exempt status of the Curtis Coleman Institute for Constitutional Policy. Coleman, a Republican candidate for governor this year, has come under scrutiny from several media outlets for soliciting donations to the nonprofit carrying his name. The IRS revocation was publicly posted on the IRS website on April 22, 2013. According to the IRS, this was an automatic revocation due to a failure to file a Form 990 return for 3 consecutive years. You can read more at talkbusinessarkansas.com. President George W. Bush opened his presidential library in Dallas on the campus of SMU today. The event was attended by all of the living presidents, including Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. In his speech, former President Bush outlined what he'd like to be remembered for: raising school standards, cutting taxes, and liberating countries from dictators.
Of course, you can keep up with all the latest business and political headlines each and every day on our website at talkbusinessarkansas.com. After this break, we'll sit down with Representative Greg Letting. He is the House Minority Leader. What did he think were some of the biggest accomplishments of this session for the state's Democrats? Greg Letting right after this.
Noble Strategies is a bipartisan state and federal government affairs firm with a successful track record of providing effective advocacy for business, government, and nonprofit entities. Noble Strategies provides service in areas such as lobbying, public affairs, trade association management, and marketing campaigns. Learn more at noblestrat.com.
I was looking for a bank that could best protect my finances.
It shared my passion for my business's potential.
A bank that offered investment expertise,
lending support, insurance guidance.
A bank that delivered full financial support.
That's how I found True Balance.
True Balance.
From my bank.
From my bank.
Delta Trust and Bank, the expertise to meet all your financial needs.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
We weren't able to get Representative Greg Leding on camera, but we did do a radio interview with him for our webcast podcast. Representative Greg Leding, the Democratic House Minority Leader, on what type of session he thinks Democrats had. All right, so here we are on the last day of the session before you guys adjourn to go sine die. You'll come back and do some formalities. Does it feel like the last day of school, the last day of college, or getting out of prison?
Kind of all three. You're relieved to finally be able to get back to your life at home, especially for those of us that live so far away. You don't see a lot of home during session, and so very much looking forward to getting back there. I was asked last week, whether I was going to miss it. This was the day after the Medicaid vote. Everybody was feeling a little bit lighter. So, I've been ready to go home for weeks, but, when you get close to the end, you do realize you're going to miss it a little bit, and I equated it to Stockholm Syndrome. You just sort of become enamored with your captor.
Let's talk about the tone of this session. Speaker Carter said in his kind of final remarks to the press today that he felt that Washington could learn a thing or two about bipartisanship from the Arkansas legislature. You've got a governor's candidate in Mike Ross saying that this has been the most partisan legislature that he's ever seen. Was this a partisan or a bipartisan legislature?
On the whole, I think it was fairly bipartisan. There were absolutely some very partisan, very heated moments, but on the whole, I really do feel that it was a fairly bipartisan General Assembly, and it really kind of had to be because it was so evenly split. Both sides, if they were going to accomplish anything, really had to listen to and work with the other side. And so I know that early on in the sessions, the first half was dominated largely by some of the reproductive rights and guns issues and things like that, and those got a lot of attention, but there was definitely a point midway through the session. I think it was the day the speaker even went around to make it clear to the committees he wanted to shift the tone, and I think we saw that. And I think the back half of the session, we did focus more on education, jobs, and obviously Medicaid. And that was going to be the biggest issue of the session, and it was, and I'm just thrilled that we got it done.
Well, the private option will be one of the signature moments of this legislative session. It was bipartisan. It needed supermajority votes to approve its funding. Democrats were very quiet, and you're the minority leader. Democrats were very quiet during a lot of that debate as Republicans showed that they had a riff in their caucus. Why were you guys as quiet as you were, and was that hard for you to do?
It was difficult. There was, publicly we were pretty quiet, but internally we had a lot of debate. We wanted to make sure that we weren't being led down a path we didn't want to go. But once we learned more about it, we were comfortable with it. But we knew that because of the supermajority, to have a chance to get to those 75 votes, if we were maybe too supportive publicly or engaged too much publicly, we might actually scare a vote or two away. And so we just felt it was best to stand together and be ready to act and do what we could to make sure that that the Republicans were able to bring in the votes that they needed to get it done.
Before the session, you and the Democrats largely supported straight Medicaid expansion. You obviously came on board with the private option vote. Do you think that the private option was a better solution than straight Medicaid expansion?
I think only time is going to tell whether or not it works out. I do have a lot of hope for it. I do think it was very innovative, and I give a lot of credit to the legislators that generated this idea. I think both regular expansion and the private option both have their strengths and weaknesses, and I don't know that we'll ever really be able to tell, which the better path was. But I do hold out a lot of hope that the private option is going to be successful.
When you point to the accomplishments of this legislative session as the minority leader for the Democrats in the House, what do you think were the signature accomplishments for your caucus?
Getting Medicaid done. And again, that was sort of a bipartisan effort, but when you look at the number of votes, it would have never gotten accomplished without the House Democratic Caucus. A Big River Steel, bringing jobs to a part of the state that really needs jobs. You had Representative Williams work in a bipartisan manner with the New Market Jobs Act. It was one of the first pieces of legislation this session we saw that actually addressed jobs. We got a cost of living passed for state employees. We managed to keep things from going too far off the rails when it came to education. We were able to stop quite a bit of troubling legislation. The spending cap bill gave everybody quite a bit of heartburn. Higher education was very concerned about the highway bill. We were able to prevent that from passing. And so I think, considering we're in the minority for the first time in 138 years, and it often takes caucuses a few cycles to adjust to being in the minority if they've been in the majority for a while, I think on the whole it was a successful session for the caucus.
Do you like your chances of becoming the majority again in the next legislative cycle?
I like them quite a bit. I don't take it as a given or that it'll be easy. It will be difficult, but I do think with things being so evenly split and the way some of the things went in this session and the way the political winds are blowing, I like our chances of taking back the House in 2014 quite a lot.
Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.